Hi, a very good morning, girls. Today we are going to talk about mental health. So, firstly, probably I'd just like to ask and understand what do you think mental health means to you? Okay, let us just take about a few minutes, probably 1, 2 minutes, pass around with your friends and just to understand from each other what do you think mental health means to you? Well, I hope you have actually discussed a little bit with your partners. Yeah, okay. What is mental health? Mental health basically is about our own feelings, our thinking, our emotions, as well as our moods. And also looking after our mental health is just like any other important, is as good and as important, okay, as looking at as taking care of our own physical health. Okay, I hope we have got a good discussion. Yeah, and slightly know and understand like what mental health means more to you. Right, now we're going to actually look at a short animation, okay, about two students. Okay, one called Shasha and another one called Andre. They both of them they experience they experience different kind of issues with their mental health. Yeah, so see if you can spot the differences between them and what are they experiencing and also how do they handle that. Come, let's take a look.
You can't tell how someone feels just by looking at them or what they share online. To the outside world, our lives may look perfect, even if in reality they aren't. I'm always worrying about doing well at school, and with the end of year test coming up, I'm not sure how much longer I can cope. My thoughts swarm around my head, sometimes keeping me up all night. Some days it's just all too much, and I feel like I'm lost in space. When I did badly on one of my tests, I just about kept it together until I got home. Then I broke down crying in front of my mum. She listened for a bit, and then she told me that, just like physical health, we all have mental health. It's our feelings, our thinking, our emotions, and our moods. She then said that feeling down, angry, and stressed is a normal part of life, just like it's normal to feel happy, confident, and carefree sometimes. We all have positive and negative emotions that come and go based on what's happening around us. These are everyday feelings. Good mental health means experiencing negative emotions. It's not always about being happy. Mum can relate to the feelings of stress. So when Mum suggested I take a break from everything and do something I enjoy, I actually took her advice. So I made myself a hot chocolate, snuggled up in a duvet and watched a film. And you know what? Afterwards I felt so much better. Mum should take her own advice.
Most of us only ever share the good things. We don't like to share how we really feel. Every morning when I wake up, negative thoughts stream through my head. Getting out of bed and pretending I'm okay takes all the energy I have. As the day goes on, the negative thoughts turn from a stream into a river. The water rushes through my head so loudly it's hard to concentrate in lessons. And some days it's so bad it feels like a waterfall that's trying to pull me over the edge. Everything is so overwhelming. I didn't think my friends would understand if I told them how down I was feeling. But when Sasha opened up to me about how stressed she was feeling, I told her. I wasn't sure how to bring up how I'd been feeling, so I started by saying that I didn't feel like myself. Just her listening made me feel like she understood. She told me some things that had helped her, so I tried them too, but it didn't make much of a difference. Even when I tried to be around my friends, I felt alone. The things I used to enjoy weren't fun anymore.
I was really worried about Andre and not sure what to do. He was quiet and wasn't hanging out with us like he used to. So I asked our head of year for some advice. He suggested I get Andre to speak to him since his negative feelings weren't going away.
I didn't want to speak to our head of year, but I also didn't want to keep feeling so down, so I went. He said that sometimes we have overwhelming feelings that can be more intense than our everyday feelings. These feelings hang around for a long time and change the way we feel, think, and behave. They can stop us doing what we want to in life. That's what I was going through. He also said that if we're physically unwell, we let people know, we ask for help. It should be no different with mental health. Sometimes our overwhelming feelings are brought on because of things in our life. Sometimes they happen for no reason at all. After hearing this, I felt much less alone and it felt good to talk. Scientists have found exercise can help when you're feeling low, so our head of year encouraged me to sign up to the school football club, which Sasha was already in. I still have days when the river is there, but now I'm beginning to understand my mental health. I'm learning how to cope. Our head of year reminded me that my friends, family, teachers, and lots of others at school are there to help just as much as he is. I had no idea the people around me could be so understanding. And while it's not always easy to talk about my mental health, the person I'm talking to might be able to help. If you don't feel like talking, that's fine. You could try writing, sports, reading, art, music, playing with your pet, whatever makes you feel better.
If you're the person someone talks to when they're struggling, just listen with no pressure or judgments. You don't have to have the answer. If you feel unsure about anything, you can speak to a trusted adult. Talking about mental health doesn't have to be difficult. After all, it's something we all have.
Well, now that you have viewed the video, so let's just have a very little small discussion. Yeah, maybe before that, you can separate yourself into two main groups. Okay, one will be discussing about Shasha, and the other one will be discussing about Andre. So divide yourself and decide which group will be discussing on Shasha and whichever group will discuss on Andre. I'll give you about 30 seconds. Yeah, separate yourself into two main groups, okay, according and the guidance of the teachers and officers that's there right now. Okay, or maybe CSM and ACSM can help. I hope you have done your separation of your group, right? So whichever group decides to discuss on Shasha and Andre, okay, please do the respective discussion. What was going on for Shasha and also what was going on for Andre? Okay, let's take about 5 minutes, discuss about it, and let's share your thoughts in a while's time. All right, great job, girls. I hope you have got a fruitful discussion just now. Okay, let's take a look at what Shasha has actually gone through, what's going on in her. She's basically very worried about doing well at school, and she also spoke to her mom about how she felt. She was able to actually help herself by taking time off at times, sometimes, and also Shasha's feeling went off after a little while. So Shasha also, her feelings are also everyday feelings that come and go. Well, and did you get it correct for Andre as well? Okay, Andre probably might felt a different thing. Probably Andre faced a slightly different issue. Okay, his feelings were a little more long lasting and stopped him from doing what he usually enjoys. Yeah, and he actually did take some time out. Okay, but it did not help him in the way that it was or did help Shasha in. Okay, so his feelings are more deep rooted. So he also tried to talk to someone and join a club, and joining a club actually in fact helps Andre to manage his overwhelming feelings. Right. So in fact, everyday feelings and overwhelming feelings are really very common things that we as human beings can feel um, most of the time. Yeah. So over here, how many of you do have or experience overwhelming feelings? And also, how many of us will experience both at the same time? Yeah, in fact, many of us do experience everyday feelings, feelings upset, feeling happy, and sometimes overwhelming. Overwhelming feelings usually are more long lasting. Yeah, so not knowing how to handle these feelings can actually affect our mental health quite adversely. So there are actually many ways, there are actually many things that could affect our mental health. In fact, yeah, probably you can just quickly recap what everyday feelings mean. Okay, it means that feelings that come and go and are just part of very um, normal reaction to what is happening in our lives. And they are always changing and do not usually long, do not usually last very long. Okay, so but overwhelming feelings hang around for a much longer time. Okay, and it changes because it's so long that it changes the way we feel and the way we behave as well. So and also will stop us from doing things that we stop us from doing what we want, okay, in life. And you might also have heard people call them, okay, a mental health problem, okay, like a mental illness or a mental disorder. Okay, so this is what happens. We have everyday feelings, we have overwhelming feelings. Okay, Shasha's feeling is more of like an everyday feeling, whereas Andre's is a more long-lasting one. So we call them overwhelming feelings. Okay, so sometimes in the middle, like a Venn diagram in the middle where the two overlaps, okay, is that sometimes there are overlaps and it's kind of difficult to differentiate them as well. But it's very normal. But it's just how we can look at our own mental health. Right. So maybe another round of discussion. Okay. So how did Shasha and Andre look after their own mental health? We're gonna pause here for a little while. You take some time, pen down your thoughts. You discuss with the same group of people again, and share your answers with everyone. Hi, we are back again. Yeah, hope you all actually had a good discussion as well. So maybe I can just quickly run through what Shasha and Andre actually and how they look after their mental health. Yeah, Shasha, okay, in the video, Shasha did speak to her mom, okay, about how she was feeling and took some time away from everything by making herself a very hot chocolate and watching a film. I mean, everybody's different. You just choose something that you like and just distract away the everyday feeling that you're having. Yeah, and Andre actually spoke to Shasha and his head of year, and he signed up, okay, to the football club. And because he actually that actually makes him that actually takes away his time in feeling in thinking about his overwhelming feelings. Okay, so that actually helped Andre a fair bit. Right. So sometimes knowing how to handle, that it helps, when we get support for our mental health. So, must know when and how and where to get such help. Because when we don't get the help, okay, it can actually be quite dangerous. Okay, so it can become actually something called a mental illness. It's actually a condition. Okay, a mental illness is just basically a condition that has a negative effect on the way an individual thinks, feels, and also behaves. Let us take a very quick look at how all these things with, let's say you have not been able to cope with the everyday feelings and the overwhelming feelings. Yeah, it can actually bring you into a state of depression and anxiety, and this is how it looks like. In fact, over two-thirds of medication prescribed to teenagers in the US are actually for girls. Okay? And people with depression and anxiety tend to do self-harm. Okay? And self-harm victims are actually 5 times more likely to be girls. Okay? And also eating disorders, and this make up about as in like girls make up over 90% of the children, okay, that got admitted to hospital for eating disorder. And sometimes how can we tell if, like there are symptoms of depression? Yeah, people who experience depression, okay, tend to feel that they are quite worthless, okay, or they are very hopeless, okay, and have a sudden loss of interest in things that he or she used to enjoy, used to like to do, and also withdrawal symptoms like withdrawal from friends, from families. Like, I just do not want to be with my families or friends, kind of actions. Okay, and then crying. Crying is one very common symptom, and probably inability to sleep or sleep very little. And also a loss of appetite, or it could also be an increase in appetite. And people with anxiety disorder tend to have such symptoms, okay, like excessive anxiety and worries, increased muscle ache or soreness, because they tend to be very tense most of the time. Okay, impaired concentration means lost focus of yeah, very short attention span. Feel very irritable very easily, and also have difficulty in sleeping, and always very tired, very restless. Yeah, and just tend to worry a lot of things for like no reasons, right? So, where do you think you can find help and support? Okay, so if you are in school, you can actually talk to um, your school counselors. You can also talk to an adult, a teacher, okay, or somebody who are more mature and who you trust, right? Okay, and just want you to remember, we all have mental health. It's just as good as we all have physical health. Right. So sometimes, if you have a chance, how would you encourage others with mental health challenges? And how would you tell others to do? How would you tell others to do for them? So if you could have the chance to actually change something in Singapore, okay, that would improve everybody's mental health, what would it be? So here's your chance. Okay, this year's Lopatin challenge. Okay, its theme is to talk about helping those with mental health problems, okay, get out of it. So the title of this Lopatin challenge is called Better Minds, Better Tomorrow. Okay, so what happens here? So you are supposed to find very creative ways to improve lives of people, okay, around us. Okay, expanding the boundaries, okay, of your capability and your empathy towards the world. Okay, so this year's theme, okay, is called Better Minds, Better Tomorrow. Okay, and this calls for a very creative way of submission. You can actually submit your work in terms of a poem, a prose, illustration, skit, original videos, or animation. Okay, to educate, to encourage, okay, and also to foster um, empathy, dreams, okay, and invention, and or to depict an ideal Singapore as we journey with our mental health challenges. Right? So mental health, as I think maybe you all have read, it has been on the rise. Okay, so while this problem afflicts any ages, youth between 10 to 29 are at higher risk, okay, of taking their own lives. Okay, and they fear, there's actually a lot of fear of misunderstanding, discrimination from friends, colleagues, and even family members. So most of such individuals are often quite unwilling to seek for professional help. So we actually need to help build and be part of a sensitive and empathetic community, okay, that will really genuinely understand and care for these individuals now. Okay, so we would like you to actually be able to share your vision, okay, for a better tomorrow where you can face our mental health challenges and threats. As you know, like nowadays, society is very challenging. A lot of fast paced, it's quite fast paced, especially in Singapore. So yeah, so if you know of anybody living with mental health issues, okay, this is an opportunity. You can encourage them and you can help them. So how are you prepared, okay, to go the extra mile to journey alongside with them? You cannot take their journey, but you can be alongside with them. Okay, this competition is very interesting. It's all online. Okay, and you can actually form as many number of people in a group as you like, and we can also submit many groups of entries. Okay, so but then the important thing is that work submitted cannot be plagiarized. That means it cannot be copied from somewhere. It has to be your own original thoughts, your own original idea. Okay, so the judge's decision, okay, will always be final. Okay, no correspondence or dialogue will be entertained, basically, right? And any dialogue or text shown within the submission, like example, you have a video, you need to have, if you have like a subtitle, it should be annotated in English, and whatever entries you submit must be respectful. Okay, and there are a few dates that I want you to take note. Okay, first, take a look at 17th July. It is the closing date for the competition. Okay, and then 7th of August, we'll be notified of the results, and 21st August, there's a award ceremony. Okay, and of course, for us, we are only looking at the secondary school category. So what can you submit? What form can you submit? Okay, you are basically able to submit like a poem, across a song. Okay, or you can even do a photo art installation, graphic design. Okay, in terms of action, you can have a video, animations and stuff. Okay, and invention, you can have some inventive solution, okay, accompanying some visuals or product. Okay, so these guidelines, okay, will be here. Okay, I want you all to think about what you think you can do. And I know recently you've been learning sign language. Maybe you may want to make use of this to, yeah, encourage, the peers around you, okay, who might be having some, maybe feeling very depressed, okay, or you can actually, your work can actually help other people even though they are not your friends. Yeah, so what you do will have an impact, okay, even on the worldwide. So think again, and I want you to tell me how many groups are you all sending in, um, how many per group. Probably I feel about 2 or 3 in a group is good. So I mean, I'm just tapping on the sign language that you have learned. You want to work with Manfred and to see how things can work out. You can also write a poem, no problem. Yeah, even a drawing, I think it's fine. Yeah, so as long as it fulfills these criteria, the formats and the guidelines, it is totally all right. Okay, but we will still work together, like as brainstorming for ideas. Okay, in a few more days to come. But before this, I will really need all of you to give me an idea. How many groups can we send in? Sorry. Okay, so this will be the judging criteria. 15% goes to relevance to mental health needs. You can write anything, you can draw, you can write, you can act, you can do a skit, you can do a product, anything. Okay, and creativity will stand 35%. Originality, innovation, 15%. Inspirational value, as in like this piece of work, how can it be inspiring to other people? Okay, that will stand 35%. Okay, so about the submission part, not to worry now. Okay, I will still send you this copy of the judging criteria, the format and stuff. Okay, but important, I just need you guys to know of this competition and we will participate in this. I want to know, we will participate all together, but in how many groups are you going to submit? Are we going to send in for this round? Okay, let us just make an impact to everybody around us. Yeah, that's all. Any questions? If you have any questions, you can just write them down on the piece of paper and pass it to the teachers or officers that are around today. And I will take the questions and I will reply your questions accordingly through the chat here, or if not, by the next parade. All right, see you. Thank you. Bye bye.